I've just filmed this and you couldn't see the books. So I'm going to have to do it again. But if it doesn't work this time, I'm quitting. I ain't got time for this. I'll sit right back and hold them up in front of my face so you can see them. So I better get them, hang on. This is my 10 favourite read-alouds or assigned books. Homeschool Show and Tell. Homeschool Show and Tell is an open collaboration run by Abby at I can't speak. Abby at Rooted in Rest and Jessica at the Waldock Way. I will try and add my video to that playlist and put the playlist in the comments, in the description box, or the comments either. But if the playlist doesn't work when you click on it because I've messed it up or I can't add it to it, if you go on Abby's channel Rooted in Rest or Jessica's channel The Waldock Way, they will have the playlist in their description box and it will probably work because they know what they're doing and I don't. But I thought I'd give this one a whirl because we like books, don't we? And honestly I could have cleared this bookshelf because you know we like books. So I won't mess about because like I said I've already filmed this once. I like the Usborne Young Readers series. The Usborne Young Readers series is they'll get like a book, you know, like that, and they'll condense it down with pictures so the young ones can read it, or you can read it to them, so that they can get to know the story before they're older and able to move on to more complicated material like the proper book. I'll have to hold them up in front of my face so you can see them. These are the ones we've got. The Usborne books are expensive, but I didn't buy any of these new, gone from charity shops really cheaply. So, you know, you can get them. Or you can get them on Amazon sometimes, pre-owned, really cheaply. So if you're thinking Usborne books are good but they're really expensive, I haven't bought them new. There's loads in the series, these are just the ones we've got. Go Around the World in 80 Days. Mystery Mansion. Robinson Crusoe. Bean, you ain't loved this, you read it to death. The Gunpowder Plot. We get this out every single bonfire night, so it's one we use because it goes on about Guy Fawkes and the history, so every single year we use it, so that one was a bargain. The Shocking Story of Electricity. I dread to think what the thumbnail is going to be on this when YouTube randomly picks it. It'll be a book over my head. The Three Musketeers. See, I'd tell the kids off if they were throwing books like that. So don't tell them I'm doing it. Florence Nightingale. And that's still got the charity shop thing on 80p, look. 80p. The Adventures of King Arthur. We're English, we love our King Arthur. Right. Next one is Millie Molly Mandy by, I can never say her name, Joyce Lancaster Brisley. This is a series, there's lots more books, but my mum read them me when I was little, but they were wrote in 1920. They're nice gentle stories for little kids, but you end up learning history without realising. I mean, at the front of the book there's a map, look, a village map, and we live in a village, but they keep building and building and building and building. Eventually it's just going to be one massive housing estate. So I always say to the kids, this is what our village would have been like 100 years ago, before they kept building and building and building, and before the mines shut down in the 80s and the men had no work and they had to build factories on all the fields so that the men had work. So you end up learning a bit as well, and they're nice gentle tales. The Sophie series by Dick King-Smith. There's 4 books I think, and each book's got about 3 stories in, and they've got pictures in. This one's Sophie Snail, the first in the series. It's about a little girl who's called Sophie who wants to be a farmer when she grows up, and she's dead headstrong and funny. They're really good books. There's another one my mum read me when I was little, that's why it's battered, but it's one we go back to because we enjoy them. And if you want a story about a strong little girl, then the Sophie books are good. Another series my mum read me when I was little, which me and the kids love, because I think my affection for it rubs off on them, is the Josie Smith series. by Magdalene Nab. I always want to say McNab, but it's Nab. There's 3 stories per book and there's pictures, and it's just about a little girl growing up in northern England in the 1980s, 70s possibly. And they're just really nice tales. I think they are anyway. Right, we love Jacqueline Wilson. Jacqueline Wilson writes a lot of historical fiction for kids. We've got one that was set in the 1920s, one that was set in the 1950s. We've got the Hetty Feather series, which is all set in the Victorian times. And we've got Clover Moon and Rose Rivers, which are also set in Victorian times. This one is Wave Me Goodbye, which is set in World War II, and it's about a kid that's evacuated. And these books are really good because they tell historical stories through the eyes of a child in a relatable way, so the kids are learning things without realising as they soak up the story. And it's human interest as well, which keeps you interested and invests you in the story and helps them learn. And they're just a lot better than a dry textbook. So we love Jacqueline Wilson and her historical fiction. The I Was There series, I've only got 3. We used to get some of them out of the library, but obviously the libraries are shut because of COVID at the minute. But I don't think I bought these new. I think they were pre-owned off Amazon, so you can get them cheaper. I don't buy things new unless I have to, or if it's a gift. And they're good quality. They do different periods in history, and it's from a child's perspective. And they're like short chapter books with the odd picture in, so that they could read them themselves if they wanted to, but I like to read them to them. So the ones I've got, but like I say, there's all different ones. I think there's a 1066 one, an ancient Egypt one, ancient Rome one, World War one. There's loads. I Was There, Royal Nursemaid in Victorian times. I Was There, Boudicca's Army, and I enjoyed this because it's an interesting part of British history as well. It's 60 AD, a long time ago. And I Was There, Titanic. Sorry if I'm rushing, it's because I've already filmed this once. The kids love Enid Blyton. Could have wiped a whole shelf of bookshelf to show you the Enid Blyton we've got. But they particularly like the Secret 7 series and the Famous 5 series. This is a Famous 5 book. The Famous 5 is 4 children and a dog, and they solve mysteries. It's educational in the way of the language changes, because it was wrote at the end of the end of the 1940s, 1950s. You can see the changes in the English language, but also they're engaging in nice stories. Good triumph from over evil, stuff like that. Chelsea from the channel Rispy Land lives in America. When she had her little baby Hudson last year, I sent her a present for Hudson, and I thought, I need to send something for the older kids as well, so they don't feel left out. I mean, they're not them kind of kids, but to feel left out, and but I thought I still got to send something. And because they like reading, I thought I'd send a book. But because they like reading, they obviously own a lot of books already. So I was thinking, well, what can I send them that's quintessentially English that they might not already have in America? So I sent the first Famous 5 book. And she said they enjoyed it. And she would look on about getting another one. And she said when she looked them up, they were dead expensive in America. But I got all mine from a charity shop. I bought the Secret 7 new. But the Famous 5, I got a job lot like that, all of them. And they've never been read. You can tell from the spines they've never been read. From a charity shop, 10p each. Bargain! The Animal Ark series by Lucy Daniels. This is Hedgehogs in the Hall. But they all have different names, like, there's a lot of alliteration going on. They're like, kittens in the kitchen, lamb in the laundry, hedgehogs in the hall, badger in the basement, guinea pig in the garage, which is what we're reading at the minute. And there's a little girl called Mandy Hope. She lives at Animal Ark Vets, loves animals, and every single book there's an animal that needs helping or rehoming, and as she's sorting it out, you learn about that animal. Because with hedgehogs in the hall, the kids hollering downstairs, you learn all about baby hedgehogs, the mother when she got hurt, how they sorted her out, how she got hurt, setting up like feeding stations and stuff to try and get them back outside, and then releasing them into the wild, tracking them for a little bit while they're in the wild. And the Beanie, my 8-year-old, loves animals and wildlife, and he really enjoys this series and he gets a lot from it. And it's one of them series. I mean, I think we've read Hedgehogs in the Hall about 6 times now. So that's another one we keep going back to. To mention Chelsea from Arispiland again, she did a video recommending books, and I value her opinion, so I was looking, and this one looked good. It's The Family Under the Bridge by Natalie Savage Carlson. Pardon me. It's a nice book. It's not very long. Chapter book. Got a couple of pictures in it. Set in France. Armand's this tramp in Paris. They call him a hobo in this, but he's tramp in Paris. You know, living on the streets, living under bridges and stuff. But it's very much his choice. And one day he meets this family and these kids, well, this woman and her kids under a bridge. They fell on hard times, have nowhere to live. And he befriends them and becomes their unofficial granddad, and it's set around Christmas, and it's a lovely tale. All ends well, by the way. But the other thing that appealed to me was We're Travellers. It's really hard to find books that depict travellers correctly and in a good light. And there's these there's a moment where these busybodies, you know, in do-gooders, are going to get them in trouble with social services or whatever the French equivalent of that is. I think in America it's CPS. You know, to take the kids away basically because their mums fell on hard times. And Armand acts fast, and what he does is he takes them to the travellers because he's friends with the travellers, and they take him in, give them somewhere to stay for a little bit, protects them from social. And that just really appealed to me, that the travellers were not only depicted as nice people, but the people who saved the day to a certain extent until, you know, the happy ending does come. So it's definitely one we will read again. Family Under the Bridge. And it's quite an unconventional, nice story. Right, the last one is Tom Fletcher's book, The Saurus. We read this for the first time in December. We enjoyed it so much we bought the sequel straight away and read that in December as well, The Saurus and the Winter Witch. And as far as I know, he's writing another one. But we enjoyed it so much. It's so Christmassy and lovely, and full of good cheer, and it's just fabulous. And I can see it as being one of them books that we revisit every single Christmas. And if he does keep writing these Saurus books, and they're all as good as the existing ones, I can see us just reading nothing but Tom Fletcher every single December. Because we enjoyed it. And look at this fabulous book. Look, the side's blue, and on the Saurus, the Winter Witch, the dark blue. Gorgeous. I've got a pile of books on the bed now. I'm going to put away. I hope that was enjoyable to you if you like books and talking about books. If, judging by what I've said, if you can think of anything that you think we'll enjoy, let me know in the comments, because I'm always looking for new books. Much to my husband's chagrin, because he thinks we've got enough books. How can you have enough books? Do worry about him. Or if you've read any of them books, let me know if you liked them or if you didn't like them, because I like to take conversations about books. So they're my 10 favourites, recommendations, but honestly, we're dead hard to pick. So check out the playlist in the description box, or if you can't find it, because I'm an idiot, then look at Abby's video on Rooted in Rest, or the other one, Jessica from the Waldock Way. But I must confess, I sometimes watch Abby in Rooted in Rest, because I quite like her. I've never actually watched any of the Waldock Way. I will endeavour to make an effort to, and I have got her on my Instagram and I follow her on Instagram, but I've never actually watched one of her videos yet. But Rooted in Rest I do watch. But I'm always amazed how much she gets done. she's not a messy fly-by-night like myself. So they're the books. And I'll see you next time with a brand new video. Bye bye. I've got to go to the shop now. Can't be bothered, but I've got to. Oh. Oh. Right. Ta-ta!